guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 5, short I, using the letter Y. Please take a second to gather your materials. You should have your purple book open to page 35. You'll also need some colorful writing utensils. Remember that whatever I mark up on the board, you should be marking on your page. Please save room for a key. If you don't have room on this page, a sticky note or another sheet of paper will be fine. If at any point I'm moving too fast, please pause the video and catch up. All right, so over the last several weeks, we have been learning about short vowels. We started with short A, spent a little time with short E and I, moved on to short O and U, and now we're going to backtrack to I for one more week, because what we are going to notice today is that the letter Y sometimes steals the short I sound. We're also going to notice today that that Y sometimes takes on a schwa sound. All right, so let's start by reading our list. Repeat after me. Abyss. Antonym: bicycle, crypt, cryptic, crystal, cylinder, Egypt, gymnast, gypsy, mystery, myth, nymph, rhythm, syllable, symbol, symptom, sink, synonym, and system. Okay, hopefully you heard that short I sound in each word. Okay, so just as we've done in past weeks, let's choose a color and we're going to break all of our words into syllables, starting with abyss. Slice it after the A. Antonym, after the N and after the O. Bicycle, crypt, one syllable. Cryptic, after the P. Crystal, after the S. Cylinder, Egypt, gymnast, gypsy, mystery, myth, one syllable, nymph, one syllable, rhythm. This is kind of a wild one because you never see M by itself as a whole syllable. There's usually a vowel there, but rhythm. Syll, between the double L's, syllable, symbol, symptom, sink, one syllable, synonym, and system. Okay, blue vertical line equals syllable break. Okay, so choose another color, because now what we're going to do is we're going to find the stressed syllable in each word. Remember, in any word, there's one syllable that we speak a little louder and with a little more power than the other syllables. So in our first word, abyss, it's the second syllable that's stressed. In the word antonym, we stress the an syllable. Bicycle, we stress the first syllable. Crypt, just one syllable. Cryptic, first syllable. Crystal, first syllable. Cylinder, first syllable. Egypt, first syllable. Gymnast, first. Gypsy, first. Mystery, first. Myth, one syllable. Nymph, one syllable. rhythm, syllable, symbol, symptom, sync, one syllable, synonym, and system. Okay, in all of these words, the red check mark represents the stressed syllable. All right, choose another color. And I want to go back and look at those stressed syllables and see how many of them have a Y tucked in there. So if you look at abyss, there's that Y tucked in between two consonants, okay? And that Y is making a short I sound. Same thing with cryptic and crystal. See how the Y is tucked between two vowels and it's making that I sound. Same thing with cylinder, gymnast, gypsy, mystery. In our one syllable words like crypt and myth, it's making that short I sound. And again, it's tucked between two consonants. We never see that I sound at the end of a word. Nymph, rhythm, syllable, symbol, symptom, sync, synonym, and system. In all of those examples, we have Y making a short I sound. Now let me repeat what I said. Y only makes that short I sound in the middle of a word tucked between consonants. Whenever you see Y at the end of a word, it's going to make a long vowel sound, either a long A in words like play, a long E in words like baby, or a long I in words like sky. Okay? All right, now I skipped some of the Y's though, because sometimes they show up in the unstressed syllable. For instance, in antonym, listen to the sound of the Y. Do you notice now it's taking on more of a schwa sound? Antonym, bicycle. Where else? Egypt. I think that's it. All right, so we've already talked about this schwa. We know schwa is that lazy tongue sound that appears in an unstressed syllable. It says or I, right? And it's kind of, it can be made up of any vowel, A, E, I, O, U, sometimes a vowel team like A, I, or O, U. And this week we're noticing that even the Y tucked into the middle of an unstressed syllable can make the schwa sound. We have a couple other schwas in here, like the A in crystal, the A in gymnast, the A in syllable, the O in symbol, the O in symptom, synonym. Look at that. We have two Y's in there. One makes the short I sound, syn, and the other one makes the sound, synonym, and then E. So anything that I circled in purple is making the schwa sound, that sound. That is where we really have to focus our energy, because that is the tricky part of these words. And now we know that schwa can be represented by a Y. Okay. All right, so a couple other things I want you to notice. We do have a proper noun on our list this week. Look at the word Egypt. That is the name of a real place, a specific place. We know it's a proper noun because it starts with an uppercase G. I also want to talk about roots because when you get to page 38, you're going to see that there's a whole activity based on the Latin root nom, which means name. Okay, you see that in words like nominate and anonymous, and nominee, right? Those are people who've been named for something. But you also are going to practice the Greek root ONYM, O-N-Y-M, and you see that right here in a word like antonym, and here in a word like synonym. So in both of those cases, we have a root, but it's actually a Greek root. That means name. So think about synonyms and antonyms. Synonyms are words that name the same feeling, like joyful and happy, or the same objects, like sofa and couch. Antonyms are words that name the opposite feeling, like happy and sad, or opposite describing words like hard and soft. Okay? So antonym means opposite meaning, and synonym means same meaning. Next year, you'll learn about words like pseudonym, which is a fake name, and acronym, which is a short name. Homonym, words that sound the same, or names that sound the same. So just keep in mind, anytime you see this at the end of a word, it's going to have something to do with a name. Okay, now let's see if I have anything else here for you. Oh, I do want to talk about a prefix. You'll learn more about this next year, but the Greeks had a prefix syn, syn. That means same or together. But that prefix gets assimilated, which means it changes a little bit depending on what it's being tacked onto. So sometimes instead of syn, it looks like syl or sym. Sometimes it's syn. And sometimes it's sys. But whenever you see a word that starts with any of these letter combinations, it has something to do with or together or same. Okay? So all of these represent a Greek prefix. So let's go through our vocabulary. We'll explain what all these words mean, and you'll see why all of these words have something to do with same, together, or with. Okay, so an abyss is a deep hole. I feel like we hear this word when we're studying planets and outer space and science fiction type stuff, right? Beware of the abyss. We talked about antonym. You guys all know what a bicycle is, same thing as a bike. A crypt is an underground burial place. Many churches in Europe, many old churches, have crypts underneath the building where there are gravestones and that sort of thing, coffins. So a crypt, underground burial place. All right, so cryptic, because it ends with IC, you would think it has something to do with crypts, right? And maybe that's where it originally came from. But these days, if something is cryptic, like a code or a message, we just say it's very mysterious or puzzling, right? If someone leaves you a cryptic message, you're like, I'm so confused. What does this mean? A crystal could be a colorful mineral. Sometimes you crack open a rock and it has crystals inside it. Sometimes people go to a gift shop and they collect colorful crystals. So that's one meaning, but it can also mean expensive glass or like fine glass. So sometimes when people are getting married and they register for gifts, they might ask for crystal wine glasses. Those would be a little bit more expensive than the glasses you get at your local store. A cylinder is this three-dimensional shape, looks like that. Think about a can of soup or a carton of oatmeal. Those are shaped like a cylinder. Egypt is a country in Africa. What's really cool about Egypt though, it's up in the northeastern corner of Africa, and part of it is part of the Middle East, which is part of Asia. So Egypt is one of the very few countries that is transcontinental. It's part of two different continents, Africa and Asia. A gymnast, that's a person who does flips. They do gymnastics. A gypsy is a person who likes to wander. If you look throughout history, there were groups of people that traveled from place to place. They would just set up camp wherever they were. So they were known as gypsies. I bet you know what a mystery is. A myth could be like an old story, like a Greek myth or a Native American myth. It could also mean a lie though, like, oh, that's not true, that's just a myth. A nymph, well, going back to Greek mythology, the nymphs were spiritual creatures that lived in nature, but a nymph today is what we use to describe an insect that's not fully grown yet. So an insect that maybe is starting to get wings, but the wings aren't functional yet. So let's just say nymph equals young insect. All right, rhythm, when we talk about the rhythm, we're talking about the beat, syllable, syllable, you know that one, symbol. Well, our flag is a symbol of freedom. It's a symbol of our country. A wedding ring is a symbol of commitment. So a symbol is a picture or an object that represents something bigger. A symptom. Well, you might realize that you have an infection if you get a stuffy nose, or you have a rash, or you develop a fever or a headache. Those are all symptoms of an illness or an infection. Sync. Sync is actually short for synchronize, right? So when you synchronize two things, you hook them up. So you might need to sync your phone to your computer, or you might sync your TV to your iPad, so you connect them with each other. There's that with or together prefix we talked about. So sync, just short for synchronize. Synonym we talked about, and then system is a whole bunch of parts that work together. So for instance, your digestive system is made up of your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your small intestine, your large intestine. They all work together to form your digestive system, okay? Together, together, together. Even symptoms, right? One symptom doesn't mean you're sick. You need a bunch of symptoms together to diagnose a problem. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. I know that's a lot of great vocab, but you've got this. Good luck, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.